we are now meeting to order. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Councilors, have you had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Is there a motion for approval?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes have passed. Next is consideration of the consent agenda. Councilors, do you have any items you'd like to place on consent?
Yes,
Councilor Abbott?
okay. On page 2, items 5 and 6, and I believe there's a change to 6.
Yes. I guess Jeff or Connie?
Yes, on items, number 6, we need to add District 7, that GL account number 001-000-04270.542-001 in the amount of $2,000.
And the total of 4,000, correct?
Yeah, be a
Okay.
total of 4,000.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, Councilor Abbott?
Okay, that's fine. So consent item 6. Then on page 3, items 7, 8, and 9. On page 4, item 10, 11, and 12. Page 5, items 13, 14, and 15. On page 8, items 20 and 22. Page 9, item 24. And that's all.
And there was a correction to item 24, correct? Okay. What is it?
The correction to item 24 is the GL account number is wrong on that one.
Okay,
So the correct GL number is 001-000-04290.542 -001.
okay, thank you.
And the supporting documentation is added to your packet,
Okay,
$15,000.
okay. Madam Pro Tem, do you have any items?
I don't have any additional items.
Okay, all right.
I move those items.
Second.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second, but those items were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Items 20, 22, and 24, with the corrections to number 6 and 24. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the consent agenda has passed. If your item was placed on consent, enjoy your afternoon. Otherwise, the first item is item number 4. This is amending agreement approved under resolution number 1843-22, adopted by the council October 25th, 2022, under which the council authorized the mayor to execute a professional services management agreement with Professional Services Management Agreement Birmingham Talks, now known as Small Magic, which provides early childhood education services to children from birth to 5 years, helping the city to expand the reach of the flagship program to impact kindergarten readiness in Central Alabama, expanding the scope of innovative early childhood work. And the city will pay Small Magic an additional amount not to exceed $250,000 for these additional services for total compensation under the agreement, and amount not to exceed $1,250,000.
Move the item.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Lewis?
Madam Chair, we want to call Galvin Billups, Director of DYS, up.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the members of of this committee, to committee chair, and to Pro Tem, and to Councilwoman Valerie Abbott, to the council staff, and to all of the members of the administration and guests in this forum. My name is Galvin Billups. I have the pleasure of serving as DYS Director, and before you is the request to amend this agreement with Birmingham Talks, also known as Small Magic, to expand these early childhood services to 0 to 5 throughout the city of Birmingham. And since 2019, Small Magic has partnered with the city of Birmingham since its inception to strengthen the services we provide in conjunction with educators in child care settings, also parents across all the 9 council districts to improve early literacy and kindergarten readiness. And so this funding request before you today just amends this agreement so that we are able to serve an additional 250 young people with the $250,000. And joining me today is Ruth Ann Moss, Executive Director of Small Magic, and she'll be able to provide additional details in regards to this, this particular item. I'd like to see if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. You said she was here.
Yes,
Do you mind if she comes up?
sure.
Good afternoon, counselors. Thanks for having me here today. I've got a couple slides,
Okay.
and I'll be brief. I know y'all have a lot to do today, so I'll be brief, but any of them we can park on longer or double click if y'all want to. And so if we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Galvin really laid out what the partnership has historically looked like between Small Magic and the city. We were originally founded back in 2019 with a seed grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies that the city of Birmingham was a partner in obtaining. Over the past 5 years, we've scaled our work significantly. The first year, we served about 150 children in 2019. This year, we're on track to serve about 1,650 children across all 9 council districts, and we've made it to almost all 99 neighborhoods. We're tracking them. We're in the high 70s, and we're on track to continue to grow that. We previously received an investment of about $1 million from the city. I think it was technically $999,999.99. So if anybody has a penny, we can square up before I leave. That was, I think, 2 years ago. And then this year we received $500,000 in ARPA funds. And then the request before you all today is to amend that original agreement to add an additional $250,000 from the budget. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. Just a quick overview of how the program works. The program works to increase early literacy by increasing the amount of interactive talk between parents and their children and childcare educators and their children. So children under 5 who participate in the program wear this little vest. Inside the vest, this device slides in and it counts how many words children hear and how many times they go back and forth with adults in conversation. This is important because research shows us children need to hear about 21,000 words a day for optimal brain development, and children who grow up in lower income communities typically hear millions fewer words before they go to kindergarten than kids who grow up in more affluent communities. We're on track right now by 2027, 2028 to be able to do a study that looks at the impact of this work in Birmingham on 3rd grade literacy, because our ultimate goal isn't just to increase the number of words children hear, but to increase the number of children who are reading proficiently in 3rd grade so that kids in our community have access to go to whatever college they want to go to and have whatever kind of career they want to have. And so here you can see a little bit what the data looks like that comes from this device. It looks kind of like a Fitbit report. If you've ever had a Fitbit, parents can see how many words children heard on any given day, and then hour by hour. Reports for child care centers look similar. You can go to the next slide. This is just a little bit about our results since incubation. We've served over 4,000 children since 2019 and have grown significantly. Like I said, this year we're on track to serve about 1,600 children. Children who start the program in lower talk environments, not hearing a lot of words at home, on average increase their exposure to interactive talk by about 75% from the beginning to the end of the program. And then last, we also track a metric that we call Net Promoter Score, or NPS. That's how likely someone is to recommend our program to a friend or family member. The average score for our parent program is a 97 out of 100. The average for an education organization is about a 48. So what that means is that constituents across Birmingham and across our broader community have a really positive experience with this program, and we see it because they recommend their friends and family members. Just a little bit about what these funds will cover. These funds will cover costs that are associated with serving an additional 250 children through the program. So things like curriculum, technology, high quality books, and educational toys that we give the families and childcare providers each week, and our expert coaches who work with parents and childcare teachers. Other funders that have invested in this project, including investing directly in Birmingham, are the state of Alabama and then a large number of corporations and family foundations. And then I would be remiss if I didn't do a quick commercial for how all of your constituents can get engaged with this program. Parents can go to smallmagic.org/families. We made that really easy so that you can say it and people can remember it. Smallmagic.org/families. We run 4 cohorts a year. Folks have the option to participate virtually. That option is also specifically tailored for folks who don't have access to transportation. So if you participate virtually, folks on our team will bring you books, toys, and technology to your front door every week. We also have an option to participate in person. For childcare providers, they can email raven@smallmagic.org. So if you have a childcare center in your district, we would love to work with them. They can email Raven. Again, we make that really easy for folks. Our coaches go out to childcare centers and provide all the resources and coaching there in person during children's nap times to make it as easy as possible for teachers and directors. Our team is also always delighted to work at neighborhood meetings or events. So if you're having an event in your district, a community day or a resource fair, we want to make sure that folks are out there. We have all sorts of recruitment cards. A lot of times if you invite us, we also just bring a bunch of boxes of free books so people can come by the table, get a free book, and learn more about how to sign their child up for the program. And that's all that I have. If anybody has questions, I'd love to talk more.
Okay, Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. I am so happy that this item is before us. It was a great refresher on what that program is. I do remember when it first started, and the investment, Bloomberg and others helped to bring that. And so glad to see that this, you gave us those statistics on, pretty much how you've met those objectives and what you'd like to do in the future. So the cost then, what I'm seeing is cost for the coaches, the vest, and the books, and any other, is that primarily your biggest amount of the cost, and how to get those coaches back and forth, especially
Yeah.
when they don't have transportation, that type thing?
Yep, so there's a variety of costs. The ones that you mentioned are big ones. Mileage for coaches, for example, in our in-person family groups, we serve a meal. We do it from 5:30 to 6:30, and so we also serve meals for kids and families. So that would be another example, a variety of different costs that are associated with serving more children.
Okay, because my question was going to be, I had forgotten, I was going to ask, like, where's the brick and mortar piece of this? But you place the vest with the family and the reading materials, and then it's the technology that helps us to assess whether the child, the vocabulary, and the conversations that are going on with the child. So when you say you're in almost 99 neighborhoods, then that just means that then your impact is within those homes, within the
Yes,
neighborhood.
exactly.
Not necessarily the certain schools and that type thing.
Exactly,
Okay.
yes. Thankfully, we do not have 99 offices. I am not ready to raise that kind of money yet.
That's great. And now your 4 cohorts a year, is this where you open the program up at certain intervals during the year?
Yes, because the program's about 12 weeks long, and so we open up signups 4 times a year, and there'll be 4 to 6 weeks where people can sign up, and then we'll start the cohort, and then as that cohort draws to a close, we'll have another 4 to 6 weeks sign-up window. And so that's another thing that we love. If any of you have particular communications folks or ways of getting word out to your district, we can always reach out whenever we're in one of those open sign-up windows.
Perfect, perfect. And this is my last question. What was it going to be? What are you doing on April 26th? We have Love D7 Day in D7, so I'd love for you to come by. But we'll talk.
Okay,
That was going to
yes.
be my question. So if we wanted that information, we would contact Raven at,
For childcare providers, it's raven@smallmagic.org. But if it's a family, they can
Yes.
just go to smallmagic.org/families, and they can sign up directly.
perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Council Abbott.
Thank you. I didn't want this to be on consent because I wanted to hear something positive today.
Yeah.
Just to perk things up.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you were first because you are the positive thing. I did want to ask, when my son was small, somehow I got hold of a book called the Read Aloud Handbook.
Ooh.
And, this is like ancient history. He's 50 years old now, but successful. And I think because of some of these little tricks, but that book had a list of good books to read aloud to your child that had lots of new words and interesting concepts in it. And I wondered if you have a reading list that you give to parents so that they can purchase books or go to the library and get the best ones instead of, just any old book.
Yes, I'm really glad that you brought that up. Reading is near and dear to my heart right now because I have a 4-year-old at home, so we spend a lot of time doing that. So we have a list. We also just give folks books whenever they come. We want to make this as easy as possible, so we just send folks home with books. We believe really deeply that anything any of us are doing in our community for children should be things that we would be proud to do for our own children, or gifts that we should be proud to give our own child. So all of the books that we give families are brand new, high quality, interesting, diverse books. And folks, but what I think is really interesting too is we have one session over the 12-week program that's focused on shared reading. And so that's about not just, yes, everyone knows we should read to children, but there are ways that you can read to children that are more engaging and more effective, probably like that handbook that you looked at with your son. And so it talks a lot about, for example, how can you ask your child interesting questions about the book that engages them back and forth? What are ways that you can get your child's brain spinning to learn more about the story? And so we also sign folks up for Imagination Library. So whenever you join our program, you can click a little box that says, I'd like for your team to sign me up for Imagination Library. And then thanks to Better Basics and state funding, even once folks leave our program, every month until their child turns 5 after, they'll get a new book in the mail. So theoretically, they've built a library of at least 75 books that they own in their home.
That's great. See, positive. Thank you.
I forgot, I had a few questions. What is your email?
My email
Yes.
is, if you could put that last slide back on the screen, please, if you don't mind. Right there, it's ruthann@smallmagic.org.
Okay.
Yeah, that, we need to fix the contrast on that for future
Is-
presentations.
is
It's
that
not great.
2 A's?
Ruth, Ruth, Ann, ANN, no E, @smallmagic.org.
Okay, thank you. Cause I have a, it's called One Hood. It's something, Councilors Tate, Uche, and Ethan went up there. We brought it down here from New Jersey, and there'll be a whole bunch of kids, there, and that's this Thursday. I think that'd be a great opportunity for you all to come. Cause I stopped by with Councilor Tate to MLK Center, and there were kids everywhere and parents
Yes,
everywhere,
we
so.
love this. Please send.
But I really like this, honestly. And I forgot my questions. I like this so much.
Well, in the interest of Counselor Abbott wanting to hear something good, 2 book-related, very quick stories that I'll share. Our program director was talking to a family on the phone the other week about the program. She was calling them about referring people or things like that. And whenever she first got him on the phone, the mom said, before we talk about this data and before we talk about me referring people, I just want to say thank you so much. Before we started doing this program, we didn't have books at home, and now we have books. And so that is a direct impact of the investment that the city is making in homes across Birmingham. Another grandmother who did the program with her grandchildren, because it doesn't just have to be parents, it can be anyone who's with a child for a long time during the day, said that every week when she got her bag that had the new books in it, her children wouldn't let her pull out of the parking lot until she opened the bag and read them that week's book in the car before they could go home. And so that's the kind of joy that's happening in homes all across the city, and we're so grateful for the city's investment.
Oh, that's awesome. I remember my question.
Yes.
Some of our elementary schools have pre-K classes. Have you been able to go in and help them, or is that something we have to talk with Birmingham City Schools about?
Yeah, we're really excited. This year is our very first year working with Birmingham City Schools pre-K. I think we're in, I wish my program director was here, she'd know for sure. I think we're in 6 Birmingham City schools right now with pre-K, but are certainly open to expanding that over the next cohort. I guess at this point, probably next fall is when we should talk, because they're about to get out, but very interested in working with first class pre-K.
Okay, I'll send you an email, because Hemp Hill, definitely Hemp Hill, and I think Washington K-8, they have pre-K
Yeah.
classes, and so I think that'll be a great opportunity to go in. They're so sweet too. So, that's, okay, that's really good. Okay. Well, do y'all have any more questions? Okay.
Thanks, Sean.
Well, I think there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The aye is passed. Thank you. Next item is item 16, I think. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a facade improvement loan agreement with Lakeview Oyster House also known as, well, DBA, Mo's Original Barbecue Lakeview Bar, under which Mo's will undertake the renovation and replacement of the building facade of the BP Commercial Condo Building located at 731 29th Avenue South, Birmingham, Alabama, 35233. The city has agreed to lend the borrower $50,000 in the form of an unforgivable loan in support of the project.
Second.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Corey Stallworth. I serve as Senior Deputy Director of Community Development. And the item before you, I apologize, the item before you is to request approval to fund Mo's Original Barbecue, a commercial facade loan in the amount of $50,000. And this loan is to address a fire that the restaurant experienced back in June of 2024. And that fire brought significant damage to not only the facade, but the interior of the business, causing them to close for quite some time. And so, again, this is through our facade improvement program, where we make these forgivable loans available to businesses within our city that, one, will enhance a blighted structure, and two, will provide a full-time employment opportunity for every $35,000 that they receive. And so the repairs that will be performed includes replacement of siding on the building, as well as painting of exterior siding. Are there any questions?
Counselor Abbott?
Yeah, my question was about the unforgivability of the loan. Is this a typo, or is it unforgivable because it was a fire, or why is it unforgivable?
That's a typo. It should be forgivable.
Okay.
So it's a
Well, good, 'cause
forgivable
I thought
loan.
that was really weird that all the others have been forgivable and suddenly we had an unforgivable loan.
Yeah,
didn't
that would be a
sound-
true loan then.
It did not sound very friendly, since everybody else got forgivable ones, but I feel better now. Better to have a typo than to be unforgivable.
Yes.
That was my
Also, we do
only-
need to correct the address that you see. So the address is incorrect, and the address should be 731 29th Street South. And the
Street.
zip code is 35233.
I was wondering,
Yeah, I believe there was a mix-up from a former submission that was
Yeah.
presented before the council. So I'll work with OCA so we can get that cleared up.
Okay, perfect. Madam Pro Tem?
Yes, I just have one question. You said part of the loan is that for every 30,000, the requirement or the ask is for one full-time
Yes,
staff?
one
So
full-time position.
So with this being 50, it'll just be one full-time?
Well, they've committed to two.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
That's better than 1.5.
I just have one question. Didn't we approve something similar like this, or was that the agreement to help them out? I just remember this it was y'all, okay. And so that was just to help them? Well, you can't really talk. I just remember we approved something else for this location, but it was with IEO though. Okay, that's it. Do you have any more questions?
good.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That item has passed. Next item is item number 17. This is for the mayor to be authorized to apply for, submit, execute, accept, and take any and all actions in accordance with the terms of the grant submission requirements and grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Transportation Maritime Administration FY 2025 Port Infrastructure Development Program Grant for the purpose of improving the safety, efficiency, or reliability of the movement of goods through ports and an amount up to $25 million with Watco Alabama Port Services.
Second.
Good afternoon to the committee. My name is Colin Alexander. I serve as Program Manager with the Birmingham Department of Transportation. Before you is our typical resolutions for applying for grants. If you recall, about a year ago, we came before you in partnership with the Port Authority and Watco to apply for the same amount to replace aging infrastructure at the port, including the 2 cranes. We were not awarded in that round, so this is a reapplication of that same project. So to replace the 2 aging cranes, one of them from, I believe, 1927, the other from 1941, upgrading them into E-cranes and doing some seawall improvements. So it's an application for $25 million from MARD, which is the Maritime Administration Subdepartment at the U.S. Department of Transportation. Watco, like last time, is stepping forward and covering the match. So there's no match contribution from the city.
Okay, awesome. Madam Pro Tem?
Thank you very much. I just had one question. We had applied for the grant before and we were not granted the grant. Do we ever know why, or was it just others, different
have
type
to-
projects went through?
I'll have to go back and check to see if the Port Authority had put in a request for feedback, unless Chris, do you? Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chris Hatcher, I serve as Chief Community Planner in the Mayor's Office for the city. And Counselor, could you just repeat the question
Yes,
for
I
me,
was just
please?
wondering, we had applied before and we didn't get it, and I just
Right.
wondered, do we utilize any information that would make it a little better opportunity this time, or was it just something different? Or are we just
Yes,
gonna
we
keep
did a full,
trying?
we did a full debrief with representatives of the Maritime Administration, of the Department of Transportation. And, you know, they did go over the shortcomings that our previous grant application had, so we're working to address those. I can tell you that one of the major shortcomings was our cost-benefit analysis that was done by a WACO consultant. We're going through and we're gonna make that more robust and more competitive so that we can, you know, hopefully be successful at getting this grant this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's my question.
Counselor Abbott?
Yeah, I just remembered that we had heard this before, but now I know why. We heard it, but we didn't win, so, hope we do this time.
Yeah, cross your fingers.
Yeah,
That's
thank
right.
you.
Okay.
That was all.
All right, well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item has passed. Next, this is for an agreement for professional services with Finder Software Solutions LLC. It will facilitate the sharing of law enforcement data through the Federated Integrated Network for Data Exchange and Retrieval Program. And this Finder will complete the performance of the services over a term of 3 years for an amount not to exceed $46,303.65.
Second.
Madam Chair, we don't have a representative in here from IMS as of yet, so can we put this at the end?
Okay, yeah, we'll table the item. Do we need a motion to table?
I move we table the item.
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item has been tabled. Next item is item number 19. This is an agreement with the Penny Foundation to administer $60,000 of a grant received by the city from Johns Hopkins University related to the Bloomberg American Sustainable Cities Program to fund an innovation team, I-Team, with expertise in data analysis, insight development, human-centered design, and more things to help with the city's capacity in driving progress on climate mitigation and promoting equitable outcomes in collaboration with community-based organizations and local stakeholders to achieve their goals for a term not to exceed February 28th, 2027, for inclusive total not to exceed 10% of the funds to be administered are $6,000.
Second.
Okay? Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, I didn't hear. My apologies. Hi, good evening. I'm Tish Fletcher. I serve as the Innovation Team Director for the City of Birmingham. I want to give you a little bit of a background on this before we hop into this, if that's okay. As part of the Bloomberg American Sustainable Cities Initiative, or BASC initiative, the City of Birmingham has prioritized deep and inclusive community engagement, especially in historically underserved communities such as North Birmingham community. And to support this work, we would like to partner with the Penny Foundation to serve as the fiscal agent for this work. So essentially what they would do is, although we would oversee the strategy and initiative, we would like for them to administer the funds. Because we are required per the grant to compensate residents for their time and to provide services during that time that we are doing research, we would like for Penny Foundation to serve as that fiscal agent. So they would handle dispersing funds, supporting logistical needs for community listening sessions and events, as well as ensuring that we are able to move quickly and responsibly with the community. So that's essentially what we're looking to do.
Council Abbott?
Okay, so this says that it's for climate mitigation. So what are you going to be doing with residents to mitigate the climate?
Great question. So it's a 3-year grant, and right now we're doing research in the community. The main part of this, or the main focus, is to ensure that we co-create solutions and not just create a program and provide it to North Birmingham. So right now, we are doing interviews with residents and holding listening sessions so that we can start to co-create those solutions. So understanding what their energy burden is. And what energy burden is essentially the percentage of their income that goes towards cooling and heating their home. On average, it should be 2%, but we have people who are in North Birmingham and their energy burden is 22%. So we want to have conversations with those residents to understand what is missing, what is lacking, and how we can best serve them.
So you say normal is 2% and they are 22%?
Average is 2%. Ideally, you would have a 2% energy burden, but there are residents living in North Birmingham where it's 22%.
Gosh, I'm in trouble too. Wow. Okay, well, that's, so you would be looking at eventually programs to insulate people's homes and
It could be
provide
that, yes.
possibly new windows or storm windows or something to keep their heating and cooling from leaving their
Yes,
houses?
it could be that, yes.
Okay, so, but the end game is to do something.
The end game is absolutely to do something.
Okay, so right now you're just doing the research to
Yes.
find out who needs help and who doesn't need help, and
To find out what help is needed and what resources are available and or lacking.
okay, thank you. Very interesting.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem?
Yes. Thank you very much. I had also circled climate mitigation, had a question about that. So thanks for answering that piece of the question. I know you're saying you're going to focus on North Birmingham, but once that you've explained to me what this would entail, I was thinking more of industrial, environmental problems that would exist. And of course, we know North Birmingham has had their, definitely has a history of that and ongoing as well. But we probably have residents throughout the city that are challenged by this. So I was just wondering, is there a plan to move, is this like a pilot with North Birmingham, or why North Birmingham solely is really
That's
my
a great
question.
way, thank you for that question. That's a great way to frame it as a pilot. So prior to the innovation team coming on board, there was a study that was already done, and it focused on North Birmingham, and it basically explained the energy burden and the compounded impacts of also being a Superfund site. So the idea is that when we're able to address the needs in North Birmingham, then we'll definitely be able to spread that out. And we do have funding to provide prototyping for our programs.
Thank you.
Okay. Council Abbott?
Just one more question, and you just brought it up. So this was a Superfund site, and I was thinking about North Birmingham the other night for some reason and wondering if the cleanup is complete, or if it's as complete as the Superfund people at the EPA do. What is the status of North Birmingham? Because we haven't heard anything in a long time. We've heard from GASP, but we haven't heard from anybody who's supposed to be, like, working on it.
That's a great question. I actually just saw a report from the EPA, and I know that it's not 100% complete. And some of research that we're doing, residents are wondering, what does complete look like? So that's also part of what we are seeking to answer for residents. So we're looking to get an updated report from the EPA. The report that I have is from 2023. So I'm hoping to have an updated report for residents during the course of this time.
Yeah, because I attended a lot of those meetings in North Birmingham, and I remember the soil contamination was a big part, but way back when I was first elected to the city council, it was particulates falling out of the sky that you could wipe off people's cars, and, you know, it was really pretty depressing to go up there to an event and you knew that this stuff was falling on you and you were breathing. It was probably eating up your paint on your car. So everything changed, but did it really? That would be the question in my mind is, you know, is the EPA done or have they just paused? And who's in charge of that? I mean, who interfaces with the EPA at the city?
I'm not sure, but I can get that answer for you.
I bet Camila knows.
I do
I bet
have an
she
updated
knows who to
contact.
ask. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Madam Pro Tem?
No other questions, thank you.
So when you do this analysis and surveying, what are the next steps?
So we have listening sessions that are this month, and then we have an ideation session in June where we'll have residents come together and start to actually think through what some of the programs and ideas look like and what they work with. The next step would be to prototype. So Bloomberg Philanthropies will provide funding to assist with the prototyping. So for example, if residents say they want to create a weatherization program, just an example, then Bloomberg Philanthropies would provide funding to assist with that weatherization program. Then we would pilot it, and then we would grow from there. So after it's piloted and then it grows from there, then we would expand it.
Okay. And how are you promoting the listening sessions to the residents?
We've been to the library. I've been in touch with Hudson K-8's principal, as well as Carver's principal. We've been to all of the neighborhood association
Okay,
meetings
good.
and provided them as
Okay.
well, the flyers.
Okay.
But we have some flyers.
Okay. And have you spoken to the counselors, was that 4 and 9, about this?
Great question. I spoke to Counselor Moore today,
Okay,
and
good.
Tate is scheduled for this Friday.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure they were aware. Okay. Are there any additional questions? Okay. Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item has passed. Thank you. It's nice to meet you. Next, we're going to bring back item number 18. Is there a motion?
I move that we take item 18 off the table.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. And this is the Finder Software Solutions item. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about this item? Also state your name as well. We know who you are, but just for the
Right,
record.
yeah, I'm Darrell Burrows. I serve the city of Birmingham as Chief Information Officer.
Okay.
So we basically pay for the software. It is a SaaS application. We don't do anything with it. So the police department can speak to the item itself.
Awesome.
Good afternoon. Ron Harless, Lieutenant with the Birmingham Police Department.
Lieutenant, if you'll just use that hands down the door for us, just speak up just a little bit.
Yeah, just
Okay,
talking
I'm
to the
sorry.
mic. Yes, sir. Can you tell us any additional information we need to know about this?
Yes. So the Finder software is a program that is used mostly by the Investigative Bureau within the police department. And basically, this connects multiple city police departments and gives everyone access to the records management system, which basically just means reports that are made. So other departments within the state, there's about 16 police departments currently within the state that use this Finder application. Most of them are associated within the Jefferson County metro area. So if there's information that is needed, we can look for personnel, we can look for like names, numbers, addresses, because as we all know, there's no city limits or borders when it comes to crime. So that connects us with the other municipalities as far as when we're looking for personnel or when they're looking for personnel, persons of interest in cases. And it really just speeds up the process by how we conduct our investigations. In my opinion, this is a critical tool for law enforcement. I worked as a detective within the department for 7 years, and I've used this application many times. We've had access to it in the past. I don't know what happened with that access, but it's definitely a tool that's needed.
Okay. Counselor Abbott?
Well, that was the reason I was asking, because I thought we had already approved this at some time in the past, so it like lapsed or something, and that was the end of that.
I don't have I have not seen the contract, so I don't know what the time frame on that was, but yes, ma'am, it has been used before.
Yeah, well, I guess since time is of the essence in crime fighting, that certainly would be good to be able to check everybody else's records instead of creating them yourself.
Yes, I mean, that is, it's when you know, because criminals, like I said, they go from city to city, and you can get information on what they've been doing in other cities, crimes they've committed there, what they were suspected of there, things of that nature. So that can become critical in case information.
Good, thank you.
Madam Pro Tem?
Thank you very much for explaining this, because I wasn't sure, like Mrs. Abbott, I thought we'd allocated money for this or approved allocation of funds for something like this before. But you know what comes to mind, we have current legislation that wants to utilize or capture our data as far as helping to learn more about certain statistics that center around policing. And so I just wonder, do we share any of this data, or is this more intermodal between different municipalities or different police departments?
Yes, ma'am. So if a report was done in another jurisdiction, and we don't have any information, we just maybe have a name, we could put the name in, and then any reports that are generated by other jurisdictions we'll have access to.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
all.
Okay. Counselor Abbott, do you have any additional questions?
I'm good,
Okay.
thank you.
I don't either. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The item is passed. Thank you. All right. Next item is item number 21. This is a project agreement between the city and Archibald and Woodrow Enterprise, the developer, under which the developer will redevelop, rehabilitate, equip, operate, and utilize the existing premises, which I think was formerly known as Rip It Up, right? Located at 810 and 830 First Avenue North as a barbecue restaurant and catering operation. The estimated investment by the developer is approximately $80,000 and will result in the creation of 20 new employees, and is expected to generate an estimated $1.5 million in sales tax revenue to the city over the first 5 years of the operation. The city agrees to provide developer with a 5-year revenue sharing incentive and 2-year hiring incentive, which cumulative shall amount up to but not exceed $185,000.
Second.
Good afternoon. My name is Cornell Wesley. I proudly serve as the Director for the Department of Innovation and Economic Opportunity. Pleased to stand before you today to talk about one of my favorite things, and that's barbecue. We have with us a legacy business that has chosen Birmingham as its next home. Archibald and Woodrow has been in business since 1963 in Tuscaloosa/Northport, and this will be their first venture outside of that community. I also want to correct one error in the submission sheet, which indicates that the projected sales tax receipts for the restaurant is at $1.5 million over the 5 years. It's actually $1.5 million per year during the term of the agreement. As you've already mentioned, Councilor Smitherman, the location is in the former Rib It Up location, a block west of I-65 on First Avenue North. 20 new jobs and an average wage of $14 an hour. Mr. Andrew Washington, again, a longtime barbecue aficionado and chef and owner in Tuscaloosa, will own and operate this restaurant. To assist in the startup and early year operational costs, we are asking this council to consider a decreased gradual scale of sales tax receipts. And what we mean by that is in a 75% sharing of actual sales tax receipts paid in arrears following years 1 and 2, a 50% sharing of actual sales tax receipt paid in arrears following years 3 and 4, and finally, a 25% sharing of actual sales tax receipts paid in arrears following year 5 of operations. Also, in an employee incentive hiring of $1,000 per new employee hired in years 1 and 2, up to 20,000 or 20 employees. And again, that would be paid in arrears as certified by the owner at the end of each year of operation. Archibald and Woodrow's plans is to open on May 5th of this year, and this is great because that will be during Birmingham Small Business Week. So this would be a way for us to not only celebrate them, but also introduce them to all of the small business owners in our community. Happy to answer any additional questions, but I do have the owner here with us who can delve deeper into his vision for Archibald's in Birmingham, Alabama.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Woodrow Washington. I'm from Northport, Alabama. I don't know if you need my address, but 1211 Martin Luther King, Northport. And first, I want to say thank you for the opportunity just being here and also opening your arms up for our business. You know, I'm the third generation and proud grandson that Birmingham always been on my scope. Mr. Anthony Bridgeport, probably over 10 years ago, was trying to get me down to the Crossplex, but, you know, timing is everything, and to me, the right time in the right place, and I believe First Avenue North will be that place.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Madam Pro Tem?
Well, I'm very excited for you to bring this to Birmingham. I want to thank Mr. Anthony Bridgeforth back there for, I know his time he probably spent in Tuscaloosa for school and everything. Anyone who matriculated there, of course, had opportunity to know about this particular business. I'm very excited also to see that the Rivet Up, the location itself is not going to be barren and will have life there again. And bringing your style of business and barbecue to Birmingham. So just tell me a little bit, what made this particular site or made Birmingham, you said you talked about coming into Birmingham before, what sort of made you at this juncture that the timing was right?
You know, initially, we started with a franchise opportunity, and that kind of didn't work out.
Okay.
And, you know, once again, I've always thought about doing it myself, but I'm also trying to hit the easy button just by franchising the business out. But when that didn't work out, and I was still determined, I said, man, I'm just going to go for it and just put a little bit more on my plate and venture out and see if I can do this. And I know for a fact that I can, so no pressure.
And my only other question also is that I know Rivet Up during the COVID, they were, you know, primarily you had to drive up and go in, but you're going to have seating inside as well as you'll be able to drive through?
Yes, ma'am.
Or is that your model?
The plan is to have about 60 to 70 seats.
Okay.
The drive-through would be pickup only.
Okay.
To me, you know, if everybody who goes to a restaurant today is being in line for 20 minutes, you kind of get discouraged and don't really want to visit that place if you're waiting in line. So, and our food isn't fast food, so you can't just go through the drive-through and get our food real quick. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. That's it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Abbott.
Okay, so I'm interested in the catering operation, so you'll deliver to City Hall.
Yes, ma'am. It's
That's what I was just about to ask.
That's one of our bigger revenue generators in Northport and Tuscaloosa, is catering. We also have a second building down on the site that we'll be running catering out of full service.
Well, that's good to know. And then there's a big empty block near your restaurant that I know that somebody's working on a plan for it. Somebody suggested we make it into an RV park so that people who visit Birmingham will have a place to go when they get here, you know, park and go over and get some ribs, you know, from a nearby new restaurant, that kind of thing. But anyway, I'm excited about this coming, and that site needed a little shot in the arm, so thank you for coming, taking a chance on us.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Thank y'all.
Okay. I don't think I have any questions. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I saw all the buzz that was going around on social media. Everybody was so excited. So I look forward to supporting you. So this is awesome. And Mr. Wesley, you've just been killing it lately. You know, we've been having a lot of abandoned buildings and businesses that have left, and yet you've been able to occupy them in a year or less. So thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, there was a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item has passed. And also, if you have like a ribbon cutting or something, just let us know, so we'll come back.
It will be during Small Business Week on May 5th.
Okay, all right. 3 o'clock, okay.
Ribbon. You're so cute.
Item number 23 is an ordinance to amend the grants fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 by appropriating $2,140,900 to Transportation Industrial Access Road and Bridge Grant, ALDOT per grant award received. All right. Sorry.
Good afternoon again to the committee. Colin Alexander from the Department of Transportation. If you recall, about a year ago, we applied for and were awarded an industrial access road bridge and bridge grant from ALDOT to make improvements along 40th Street in support of the new Coca-Cola bottling headquarters facility. So all this is the next step in the process. This is just setting up the ordinance, transferring the grant funds into the ordinance so that we can go ahead and start bidding out the project.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem?
Thank you. I am glad that this item is before us today. You know, people are often calling me about some of the roadways that we have in District 7 and the winding, Winona, Oxmoor roads like this. So I was talking today about how important the grants process is. So for this particular one, you're saying we've already have the grant. Now you just want to appropriate the money?
That's correct. So we've already been awarded. We're going through the process. All this is the step in the council process to put the funds into an account that we can then use to bid out the project.
Okay, thank you. And this is for that one particular area?
This is for that one particular project that we are awarded on 40th Street for all of the infrastructure to provide access to the new Coca-Cola facility.
Okay, thank you. That's my only question.
Okay. Counselor Abbott?
Well, I was just curious about it. The industrial access road, do we have any bridges around Coca-Cola?
There's no bridges with this project. No, that's just the name of the grant.
Yeah, well, I figured it
program.
was, but I thought I'd ask because I'm familiar with the site, but maybe not as familiar as I think. And I was trying to think of a bridge and
No, that's
Fresh out
just
of
the
one.
title of the grant program that ALDOT administers. So if there was an industrial project that had a bridge, that would be part of what they would support.
okay, well, this sounds good.
Okay. Well, I don't have any questions. Is there a motion and a second?
I move approval.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The item is passed. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next item is item number 25. This is an amendment to the project agreement between the city and YMCA dated December 17, 2024, and approved by ordinance number 1736-24, under which the city granted a forgivable loan in the amount of $1 million to assist the YMCA in making renovations to the existing YMCA in Roebuck, to oversee the construction of 22 new Habitat single-family homes and a 10,000 square foot health care center and other services and programs. The amendment shall allow for the substitution of the original mortgage used as collateral to ensure the development of the project for a $1 million letter of credit from Regions Bank in the event of default by the YMCA.
Second.
Okay, good afternoon.
Hello, Corey Sauer for the again, Senior Deputy Director of Community Development. And the item before you, if you recall, the council approved for the city to grant $1 million to the Y for the expansion of their center in the northeast Roebuck, Y, as well as to build 22 new houses on site there. And so since then, they have been proceeding with their closing there. And so in that closing, the New Markets tax credit investor identified that this would be an issue for the mortgage to be collateral. And actually that collateral would need to be with the tax credit investor. And so to make that closing happen, the city is requesting that instead of us having the property as collateral, we would get $1 million in collateral from the Y in case they default. And so they would provide that line of credit letter to us now, showing that in case they default, they're able to repay on this forgivable loan that they received.
Council Abbott?
Okay. So explain again why we're having to do this. We were, the property was the collateral.
Yes.
And now it's not anymore. For what reason?
Because the new market tax credit investors, they need to be in first priority. And so it's a requirement that they be in first priority to receive the property in case of default. And so if they weren't able to get that, then they would put out of the deal, which would cause probably a loss of like $10 million to this deal. And so this is a way that we can be flexible to keep the $10 million investment from the tax credit investor in the deal, but also make sure that the city is protected. And so instead of getting the property, which is not what we probably would have wanted anyway, because we're not the original owners, we actually would get $1 million back into our coffers that we gave out.
Which would be the money we gave out. So we'd just
Yes.
be made whole and we'd go away
That's
whistling a
correct.
happy tune except for the other problem. Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem?
I just had one question. These new market tax credits, are these new with the current administration, or what brought this change? Is it just something that's happening now in the banking or?
Well, yeah,
type
so
of
it's
industry?
been around, I would say, at least for close past 10 years. But it's getting more popular in the development of housing and commercial projects. And so where there's a commercial component and a housing component a part of it, people are being more creative on how to use tax credits to support those deals. And it's a large gap funder. And so you see it brought $10 million to this deal that otherwise there wouldn't have been another mechanism to do
Okay.
that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And is everything still projected to be completed on time, the project?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, well, is there, I don't think we had a motion, did we? We did? I don't think so.
Well, I move it just in case.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item has passed. Thank you, guys. The next one is item number 26. It's to amend the grants fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 by appropriating $14,556,039.81 to Transportation Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhood Program Grant.
Second.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Like the last item, this is another one of those grant ordinances where we've already been awarded. If you recall, we were awarded a Reconnecting Communities grant last year to convert 4th Avenue North from one-way to two-way between 24th Street North and 9th Street North. So we're now to the point we have our signed federal grant agreement and our signed ALDOT funding agreement. So now we're at the point we can set up the accounts in order to start work on the design of that project.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem?
Questions?
Okay. Council Abbott?
Yeah, now that I remember the one-way to the two-way, that helped. If it'd been in the description, you wouldn't have had to stay. But I'm good now.
Okay. Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that item has passed. Oh, you might as well stay up here. Item number 27, this is an ordinance to amend the Rebuild Alabama Gas Tax Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 by transferring $2 million from street paving undesignated and appropriate $2 million to non-departmental for this fiscal year. By appropriating $2 million transferred to Fund 036 Grant Match and amend the Grants Match Fund budget for this fiscal year by appropriating $2 million to Transportation Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhood Program Grant Match.
Move the item.
Second.
So this is the counterpart to that. So on the previous grant, on the Road and Bridge grant, there was not a required city match. So we just set up the ordinance with just the grant funds. This federal grant, there is a required match. So we have to set up, in addition to the grant fund ordinance, we have to transfer in our grant match account. It's being pulled from one of the gas tax accounts that has some flexibility in the language allowing us to match roadway project funding at the federal or state level. And so this is how we pulled our $2 million local contribution to the 4th Avenue project, since it's a roadway improvement project.
Okay, Council Abbott?
Okay, so this is the match.
That is the, yes, that is,
For the 14,556,000.
that's correct, creating it a $16.5 million project.
Okay, that answers the question.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem?
That's the only thing that gets me, so, not saying we shouldn't do it, but we're taking the $2 million that would have been in there for street resurfacing, so does that mean we're depleting that money, or we're just moving money around?
So part of this is, we were incredibly successful with federal grants in the last couple of years, and trying to come up with the match dollars can sometimes be challenging. Since this is going to resurface a road that over the whole distance needs to be resurfaced, and we had that flexibility, that language, we felt that that was a place that we could pull that, because it's still using those money for street resurfacing purposes, if that makes sense. So
That
it's
makes sense.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Abbott?
Question. Okay, when Larry Langford was here, we resurfaced every street in downtown Birmingham. He hadn't been gone that long. The street already needs to be resurfaced?
Parts of it do, based off of our, the paving, inventory that we recently did. And a lot of that just depends on the traffic usage of the road
Well,
over
it
the
is
course of that 20
popular.
years. So, but that was the justification for where to pull that match funding from.
Okay. Maybe we need to look at our standards for paving. Our paving doesn't last like it should.
No,
Or so it seems to me.
it doesn't.
That we pave a street and then we're back in 2 or 3 years doing it again, and you think surely paving should last longer than that. And of course, we still need to quit covering up our curbs, which we don't seem to know how to do. But, when you have curbs, you don't cover them with asphalt. At least I would think that we would not want to do that.
But duly noted, Counselor.
Madam Chair?
Anyway, I'm good aside from that.
Oh,
Okay.
I was just gonna let you all know that these funds, they're coming from a gas, tax fund, not the general fund. And so, the general fund pays $10 million of the paving plan. And so, just wanted to let you all know that.
Yeah, I see it right where it is in the budget book too.
Yes, the street resurfacing undesignated fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Pro Tem?
No, I was just gonna say thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay. Well, I think there's been a motion. Well, there's been a motion in this, was there?
I move approval just in case.
Okay, well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye, the item is passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's hard to remember.
That's writing down. Item number 28 is to amend the capital fund budget for this fiscal year by appropriating $178,344.22 to Park and Recreation Legion Field improvements for repairs. Funding source is reimbursement received from insurance proceeds.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Shanae Edens Bennett, and I serve as the Director of Birmingham Park and Recreation. Trying to be funny. Come on.
Hello, my name is Ronald Hicks. I serve as Deputy Director for Birmingham Park and Recreation. And the item before you is I'm sorry. It's a reimbursement. We had a water freeze at Legion Field happening January of 17th of last year, and this is just recovery funds with capital improvement footed the bill, and this is just a reimbursement from the insurance company.
Okay, so the pipes froze?
They did, and we had significant water damage to Club Box A and B. We had to replace the carpet, the seats, and our team did the painting, and the restrooms were also messed up during that time.
Okay, so we just spent the money fixing all the stuff that got messed up.
Pardon me?
We just spent the money fixing all the things that were ruined by the
Yes, ma'am.
flooding.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I apologize.
No, you're
I
good.
just
You're
jumped
good.
in
I'm
like,
sorry. No, you're good. Madam Pro Tem?
I have no questions, thank you.
Yes. Okay, I don't have any questions either. Okay, we do need a motion in a second. I did write that down.
All right,
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The item has passed. Next item
Thank
is
you.
item number 29, An ordinance to amend the grants fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 by appropriating $2,140,900 to Transportation Industrial Access Road and Bridge Grant, ALDOT, per grant award received. Yes, and then 30 is, an ordinance is different. You don't want us to bring it both up? You took it, what? A duplicate?
No, one's Bellevue.
So, okay, well, we'll take this out then, so this is a duplicate, okay. Well, then we just have items 30 and 31, so, where did,
Now, 29 says the Southeast Lake Neighborhood Association.
okay, well, okay,
So I think these are real. 'cause
okay, so
one's
this is
Bellevue
real.
Heights.
Well, can you come up?
They just come up anyway.
Yeah,
No, I think the 29 now is the neighborhood association transfer, the
Gotcha,
Southeast
okay.
Lake. Do you guys need to read? Do you need to read
we
that
do.
out?
Are you speaking for 32?
Yeah, for
Okay,
both of
I
them.
just see Dr. Thomas' name is on here. Actually, can we bring up 31 too? It seems like they're all, because they're both speed
it.
cushions.
So 29 and 30.
We put 31 on consent?
We don't have it, 31's.
Oh,
on
I
the
used the
new
old
business.
one. That's probably why. Okay, I was looking at the old one now. Okay, well, item number 29, an ordinance to amend the neighborhood allocations fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 by transferring $2,433.63 from Southeast Lake Neighborhood and appropriating $2,433.63 to Department of Transportation, R&M Infrastructure, Street and Traffic Signs, i.e. speed cushions, for traffic calming efforts. Yeah, item 30 is for transferring $5,000 from Bellevue Heights and appropriating that same amount to Department of Transportation for traffic calming efforts.
Second.
Okay?
All right, so Colin Alexander, Department of Transportation, again. Both of these are transfers after a neighborhood vote from the neighborhood funds for the 50% portion of speed cushions as part of our traffic calming program. So these are two streets that have been in our queue. We've gotten this far into the process. In Southeast Lake, this is for 77th Way between Belmont and Oporto Madrid. And so that's for an install of 3 speed cushion sets. And then in Bellevue Heights, it's for Avenue Q between Warrior Road and Bessemer Superhighway. And that's for 4 sets of speed cushions to be installed. So once we transfer this, then we'll start working with our crews to go through final design and installation.
Okay, Madam Pro Tem?
Well, when I saw both of these, it made me just wonder, we still have the backlog, correct?
We do.
And so, does this mean that you will start the process again of looking and scoping it and that type of thing? Does this mean that they move ahead of other neighborhoods, or you've already got other neighborhoods that are waiting, that have already done this process?
Right, so these two have been in our queue
Okay,
for a number of years. Back when I was still
Okay.
managing traffic calming, we had these sites. They've now moved in the process to where we've gotten through design, we've gotten through recommendations, now we've got the neighborhood approval for the funds, and so that's what we're doing here, is transferring the funds in for us to go.
okay. Because I know I've been in some neighborhood meetings where there's always the statement that's being made that there's a tremendous backlog and that type of thing. And so most of those neighborhoods are beginning to shy away. So I just wondered,
We had this same conversation at the Transportation Committee, and so
Okay.
we're aware of and understand the concerns. This is a very popular program. We are exploring options as to how we can expedite those. These two have just already been in the queue for a number of years, and now have gotten to this point in the process.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Counselor Abbott?
Yeah, during the budget process, we were talking about possibly farming this out to someone who has time to do it. So I think that's an excellent idea because traffic calming is certainly needed. And since people have forgotten how to drive, I guess, I don't know whether the pandemic did it to them, but their brains don't work anymore. They don't stop at stop signs, they don't stop at red lights. And they speed through our neighborhood like bats out of Hades. So we really need this program to get moving in a serious way. And also, I'm curious to know who decides where to put these humps and bumps, because like, you know, my favorite street for people to try to pass each other on, which is only 25 feet wide and has parking on one side, they didn't put the hump, bump, lumps where the people do the passing. They put them in places where people can't pass. So maybe they didn't stand out there long enough. But for people who routinely drive that street, we know where the passing occurs. And so I'm just, you know, I would like to see some professionals come in and get the work done instead of waiting on whoever it is to just have time to fit in a few traffic calming projects. It seems that we just don't have the personnel. That's just an outside observer's opinion, because we get to listen to all the complaints from all the residents who want to know when the heck the city's gonna get, they took our money a year ago, you know, where's our traffic calming? They ran over my cat last week. You know, you don't tell them the cat's not supposed to be running loose, because that'll make them sad, but, you know, we just need quicker movement on this program. Like, a lot quicker.
Acknowledged.
So y'all are working on it.
Well, as you noted, we have included that in our budget presentation, and I will just say that we got the same comments from your colleagues on the Transportation Committee in support of that. So we'll let the budget process go through its process, but duly noted, yes, ma'am.
Well, I know that Camila's making notes over there. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I hate to vent, but you know, we get vented on, and so then we're gonna vent on somebody else, and it's just if we could just find a contractor who could be in charge of that and just go out there and knock it out, it would be wonderful.
Ma'am.
We'd all be so happy.
Yes, okay. Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those items have passed.
Thank
We don't-
you.
Thank you. We don't have any older new business other than the budget town hall is next Wednesday at 5:30 at the Boutwell. The next Budget and Finance Committee meeting will be on Monday, April 28th at 3:30 PM. Is there a motion for adjournment?